Hey, welcome back. In this week's episode, I'm going to talk to you about the happiness game through the lens of what I have recently realized about myself, my life, my own limiting limitations, and kind of how I've changed my beliefs, honestly. So let's talk about this and become the happiest versions of both of ourselves. What if you had to feel like the least happiest version of yourself so that you could discover the happiest version of yourself? So, I am shedding literal weight. I've lost 70 pounds. I'm shedding connections, a lot of people. And those people are people that I attracted from my old self, I guess. I mean, I used to hear people say that a lot and I would hate it. Oh, I would hate it. And it's because I didn't get it. And then when you get something, you get it. Ugh. And now I'm going back and learning from the people that said that kind of stuff and I'm understanding what they meant. And oh man, it's really unnerving to say the kind of stuff that drove me away from people a long time ago because I thought it was very flighty and all this stuff, and it's okay. It's okay. So I feel like a new person, and I know that means that you might not get me anymore. I used to be all about circumstances. I would even say it in my about me, my profile. I would say your circumstances really matter to me, and they do still. I think that it's extremely important for me to know where you've been, where you're coming from, so that we can learn from them. It's just that now that's all that we'll do is learn from them. I was stuck in my own stuff, victim mode, really, really hard. I loved having excuses, and I didn't really understand how much of that until really recently. I moved to this house and I knew that this move was going to be really expensive. I could just feel it, and I was scared. I remember the morning that I was moving, I was in the shower and Matt woke up and I had just been in the shower and the water was turning cold and I was crying in the shower, and he was like, "What's going on?" And I said that I didn't want to get out of the shower because that was the last shower I was going to take in this house, and I knew that we were moving and it was scary. And he was like, "Yeah, moves are scary." And I said, "No, like, I'm realizing how much I have stayed here because it keeps me small. I'm realizing that when I go to this new place, it's a clean slate. That everything about this new place is what I want. And when things don't work out, it's going to be because of me. I can't blame the landlord. I can't blame my ex. I can't blame da 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 da. This is on me now." And it happened again when I moved here. I woke up and I felt sick. And I kind of got excited that I felt sick. Like I was really excited to have a reason outside of myself that I wasn't going to be able to do my own work today, because then I could blame something other than on my own self that things weren't going to be done. And I'm realizing, if I'm being deeply honest with myself, which I think I'm doing now, how much I have loved having chaos, drama, and attracting sickness in all ways to myself as a reason to say, that's why I'm not successful. That's why I'm not happy. That's why this thing is not working. Not because I want to be that upset, that sick, that whatever, but because if this business doesn't work out, then I can say, well, it wasn't my fault. And it really hurts to say that and admit it. And I know that I can't be alone in that. The fear of success is strong for a lot of us, for most of us. So I had to really lean into that discomfort. And I think whenever you lean into discomfort, you get something out of it. If you do it deliberately and purposefully and not out of masochism. So I've changed my beliefs. Now I am not self-sabotaging. I'm believing that this will be successful from a self-loving place. I'm all about doing stuff. I'm all about action. And I can't tell you how much I wish I had not waited. All I see is how much progress I have made in the past 10 months, the past 6 months, the past 6 weeks. And knowing how, if I had done this for the entirety of my business, let alone my life, what I would have accomplished when it comes to my goals and the purpose of spreading joy is, it's rough to think about. But all we can do is not think about it and move forward. Learn from that and capitalize on how much we can do now. I think having that shame is helpful to move forward. And then also at the same time, in the same hand, letting the past be non-existent, if that makes sense, to let both be motivators. Now if I get into conflict with people, there is conflict now. There's a different kind of conflict because I'm getting into conflict with people where people have no desire to be around me or frustrated by me, don't identify with me, or vice versa, because they are focusing on their circumstances, their limitations, or what they perceive they can or cannot control, because that's the way that I was for so long. And now, because I have shifted into looking for solutions and being action-oriented, I point out the truth as I now understand it to be, because I always tell the truth. You know, I made a whole episode about that. And I think that's called How You Can Tell Someone They're Judgmental. How telling someone they're judgmental is actually being judgmental. And my truth has just shifted now. It's changed, it's deepened, it's expanded, like whatever you want to call that, right? And truth is a very, very large value. So when values aren't aligned, you can get into conflict. So I have been shedding things, people, pounds in my life left and right because it doesn't make sense to my new belief system that things are working out for me, that the system is rigged in my favor, that this is successful, that I don't need to be in victim mode, that I'm not self-sabotaging, that, you know, all of these things. And now everything I'm interested in now, including and especially humans, are about showing the fuck up and like karate chopping their way through bullshit beliefs. I'm even noticing it in Matt. You know, it's all happening really, really fast too. It's really impressive and amazing. I'm just not coddling anything anymore. And I know that a lot of people think that I already was like that. And I was to a degree, especially by comparison. And if you think I was blunt before, you have no idea what's here now. I'll just say that. I just believe now that we can change anything and everything. And holding on to these circumstances, including my mental illness symptoms, were ways to limit me. A diagnosis is only helpful for you to get information for how to treat something. Treatment is an active process. Resting on my laurels or a diagnosis as an excuse of why I'm not living up to my ecstatic potential of joyfulness because I have a unique mind is a bullshit excuse. I have 12 of these diagnoses, and if I can do this, so can you. If you want to learn about why you're unique, then do it. But if you don't do, like, if you do what I did and for 20 years say, well, I can't do that because I have OCD, then you're not trying. And I want to be clear that it's not that you can't, it's that it's difficult for you. There are some things that we cannot do, right? For right now, we can't fly. But some of us need to reconcile with the difference between a disability and a difficulty. If you don't have hands, that's one thing, right? But a lot of mental illnesses, there's a difference between a disability and a difficulty. Not being able to walk around in a full 360-degree circle was difficult for me, even though I have a diagnosis, which can be rendered on paper as a disability. After I walk in a 360-degree circle, which is a unique thing for my mind, as a diagnosis, as a disability, as I could get Social Security benefits for it, da 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 da. After I do that, I have panic attacks. Am I going to let that limit my life? I could continue to, I did. I have tics that make it different to look at me. And I believed that I couldn't be a stand-up comedian because of those, because it would be annoying for the audience to look at. Am I going to let that stop me doing for something that I've wanted to do for 20 years? Or am I going to empower other people who have tics to do something on camera? I have synesthesia, and every time I hear a fire alarm, I see flashing images of murdered people. Should I never leave the house? I can keep going. We say things like, I can't sleep with the TV on. I need it so I can't hear my own thoughts. I thought the same thing. And then I tried. I slept with the TV on, going to sleep for, the past 20 years. I tried it as soon as I moved to this house. I just didn't put a TV in my room. It was hard for the first couple nights. And then it wasn't. Most of the time, we just aren't willing to try because things are difficult. We're scared. We're not interested in feeling the discomfort. Becoming happy is the same thing. The same way many people believe that you get a dharma or a unique purpose in this world that you have to forget when you're born and you have to remember it. I believe we kind of become miserable and mediocre due to the circumstances of this physical 3D earth. And it's our job to become ourselves so much to reclaim our ultimate joyfulness. So how do we do that? This happiness game. We do things that feel good. Embodiment. Stuff that maybe felt good when you were a kid. Maybe it's like starting to feel good now. Maybe it's different stuff than when you were a kid, or maybe you don't remember. It's okay. For me, I like wearing, socks inside my slippers. I'm doing it now. I will lay on my bed sucking on a root beer lollipop with the window open, listening to a podcast with comedians. I like driving around, finding weird old neon signs on road tracks, roadside attractions. I will map them out the night before, and then I'll pull over even differently, and I'll see a different cool fence, even though it's not on the map. I like sitting down on my new vanity and noticing the way that my grandmother's bracelet dangles across my wrist before I clasp it. I like watching my boyfriend comb his long Viking hair, even though he doesn't know that I'm watching. I like the way the prisms dance around the kitchen in the morning. I like every time I see a duck and I just say duck out loud. I was burned out because I went too far, and I started, I niched out too far. I started connecting with people who were stuck in their difficulties as an excuse because I was too. And it was making me money, but I was miserable. And now it's come full circle because I'm back to Merriment. That's where this started. That's where this was always supposed to be. I was kind of fulfilled for a little bit because I had this idea of having a business, and I did that. I've had a business for 10 years. And I was doing it. I was making money. I was, all the things on paper. It just wasn't the right niche. So I was kind of dreading parts of the elements of my work because of the interactions behind the scenes. So yeah, maybe the part of this happiness game really is like dharma, forgetting who you are, becoming the unhappiest version of yourself in order to remember who you are and your ultimate potential. And your ultimate purpose, to me, is the power of your joyfulness. When you unlock your joy, you unlock everything else. And I believe that we do all have that capacity. Even if it is weird and bizarre, maybe especially if it's weird. You're my favorite, you weirdos, to the rest of the world, like the Addams family. It does not need to make sense to everyone else. If you felt the worst you've ever felt, maybe that's because you're about to feel the best you've ever felt. The only thing standing in the way of that is you. And when people say that you're standing in the way of yourself, they, and I guess I mean me right now, because I'm saying it, mean your mindset and behavior. So, okay, I'll give you homework then. So your homework to start playing the happiness game for keeps, play it for keeps, is to notice what doesn't feel good. What are you complaining about? What are you always bringing up to your friends or in a journal? If a fairy godmother could fix something with a magic wand overnight, what would you request? And now I want you to think about all the things that you've tried to do to fix it. You might have 20 different things and feel really frustrated. You're like, I've tried all these different ideas, and that's rough. But I promise you, there is another stone to overturn. You get to decide if you're going to keep going or not. If you want to, you can, and the people that I want to work with will. And if you want to work with me, I will help you find another alternative solution, because your desire and contrast and frustration are all showing you that you still care and something needs to be done for resolution. And there is always something else to do. I promise you. So what you need to do is to outsource it. You need to ask for help, ask a coach, ask other people who have been through this before. This requires a creative solution and a different perspective. It also requires an open mind from you. What you have been doing has been consistent and or resilient, but it hasn't given you the results that you wanted. So now you need to do something different that's going to take trusting something outside of your own ideas, and you have to surrender to that support. Now, you might be realizing that you don't have anything to write down on this list of things that you've tried, and that might also feel rough in a different way because you might be realizing the only thing that you've done so far, even over 10 years, is to complain and worry and avoid. And that's okay, I promise. You're realizing it now, and it's time to do something. So what you've done so far hasn't been working, and now you need a plan. You need some inertia. It's time to get moving and turn over the very first rock. If the answer isn't under there, though, and it doesn't work, just don't give up, okay? Just promise me you won't give up. You might need to get until the 20th rock to get it right for you. And remember, even if you go until however many rocks and it feels like it's not working, refer back to the first piece of advice and don't forget to outsource for some support, because there's nothing like consistency, inertia, and alternative perspectives all at once to get you to where you want to go in no time. So that's pretty much what I wanted to say. The happiness game can't really be won, but it can be felt. You can't win the success game, but Anne Hathaway is doing pretty damn good. You can feel good, but you can't win this. It's a finite versus an infinite game. This is an infinite game. This is an infinite game. It goes on forever. You can't check a box to say that you've won it, but you can check a box to say that you feel it. You feel happy. And frankly, right now, you either do or you don't. Overall and in this moment. So make sure that the moment feels good, and moments over time connect. And if you have enough of them, then you'll say that, yeah, this was a good one. This was a good life. So make sure this moment feels good. Check in with yourself right now. Does this moment feel good? And if not, what can you do right now to turn it up? How can you turn this moment up? And yeah, turn it up. All right. That's all I'm going to say. Be sure to tune in, because we're starting to do the Merriment Mondays live on YouTube. You can find me youtube.com/MaryEngland, and we're going to be doing YouTube live streaming, and that's Mondays at 12 p.m. Eastern, same time as New York. And I'm excited for that. That's going to be a new series that we're doing, and we'll see how that goes. But I'm very excited. There's going to be different sections, different segments, and you can even ask me questions and get some live group coaching. So I will see you there on Mondays at noon, youtube.com/MaryEngland. You can also find the link on my Instagram website, uncustomary.org, at Merriment Maker. Okay. I love you. I'll see you next time. Remember, you have to feel good to do good. I love you.